Right. So in this video, we will discuss what is meant by an equation, what is an expression. So under that, we will discuss what is a numerical expression, what is an algebraic expression. Then in relation to algebraic expression, what is meant by a term, what is meant by a coefficient, and what is a constant. Right? So basically, these definitions are related to what? Algebra. So first of all, we will try to understand what is an expression and what is an equation. Okay. So if you take a look at the whiteboard, here we have 8 plus 3. Here we have 8 plus 3 equals to 11. Right? So here we have what? An equation. It is very easy for us to identify an equation. What is the reason? In an equation, there definitely will be what? An equal symbol. So this, what is this? This is an expression. This is an expression, right? So expression means what? There we can do some calculations, right? So 8 plus 3, we know that is what? 11. So we can do some calculation, right? And another thing, when we talk about an expression, in an expression, we have been given some instructions to follow. So here we have 8 plus 3. That means we have to add 3 to 8. So we have been given some instructions. If we don't follow the instructions, we get the wrong answer. Right? So how do we differentiate between what is an expression and what is an equation? Equation clearly has what? An equal symbol. Right? So an expression, it doesn't have any equal symbol, and also there we can do some calculations. Right? So if we take another look at some expressions, right? So these are all expressions. How do we know? There is no equal symbol, right? So first expression, what do we have? Add 2 to what? 4. So we get the answer as what? 6. Then next expression, what do we have to do? Subtract what? 2 from 4. Right? So we get the answer as 2. Then the next one, multiply 4 by 2. So we get what? 8. Last one, last expression, divide 4 by 2. So we get the answer as what? 2. So all 4 of these are what? Expressions. Right? So now I have written 2 expressions on the whiteboard. Now these two, at a glance, so they seem a bit similar, but there's a major difference. Right? If we take a look at this first expression, it only has numbers 8 and 3. Right? But here, the second expression, we can see numbers and we can also see what? Letters. Right? So these two are expressions, but the first expression only has numbers. So the first expression is what? It is an expression, but since it only has numbers, we refer it as what? Numerical expression. Numerical expression. The second one, we know when we have numbers and letters mixed up together, what is that? Algebra. So this expression is what? Algebraic expression. Algebraic expression. Right. So we will take a look at the first expression. This is an expression. Why is this an expression? It doesn't have what? An equal symbol. Right? So this expression only has numbers. So it is a numerical expression. The second expression, it is also an expression. Why? It doesn't have an equal symbol. Okay? But what kind of an expression? algebraic expression. Right. So now we need to understand what is meant by a term of an algebraic expression. Okay. So first of all, if we take a look at this algebraic expression, it has three terms. Three terms. Okay. So this is one term, this is another term, this is another term. Right. So in this entire algebraic expression, 4x, it is the first term, 2y, it is the second term, minus 5, it is the third term. So altogether, this entire algebraic expression has three terms. Right. So how do we identify a term? A term is always added to the algebraic expression or it is subtracted from the algebraic expression. Now take a look at 2y. 2y. So this 2y has been added to this algebraic expression. If we take a look at this minus 5, it is subtracted from this algebraic expression. So altogether, this algebraic expression has three terms. Right. So most of the time, we can easily identify terms because they are either added to the algebraic expression or they are subtracted from the algebraic expression. Right? So this whole thing, right? That means entire 2y, right? This entire 2y, this grouping is what? A term. 4x. This entire grouping, that means this entire thing is what? A term. This 5, so it is what? We have to consider the sign also, right? So this 5, this minus 5, this entire thing is what? A term of this algebraic expression. Okay, so now we know what are terms of an algebraic expression. Now we need to understand what is meant by the coefficient. Coefficient, right? So I'm going to take the first term, which is what? 4x, right? So in front of the letter, we have the number 4, right? So that is what? That is the coefficient of x, right? So this is what? This is the coefficient of what? X. Coefficient of x. Now I'm going to take the other term, that means the second term. This is the first term, this is the second term, this is the third term, right? So here, what is in front of the letter? What is the number? 2. So that is the coefficient of y. Coefficient of y. Right. Take the last term, minus 5, right? So there is no letter associated with this term. So minus 5, it doesn't have a coefficient. So we have discussed 2 things out of 3 regarding an algebraic expression. What is meant by a term, how to identify it, right? What is the coefficient of a term, right? So still we need to understand one thing. What is meant by constant? Constant. Okay, now we will try to understand what is meant by the constant. So if we take a look back of the algebraic expression that we have, so this expression, which is an algebraic expression, has 3 terms, right? First term, second term, third term, right? So if we take the last term, it is only a number. So that is what? A constant, right? So here, minus 5 means what? Constant. Constant. We know constant means what? The value doesn't change. In the same manner, what is the idea or what is the meaning of a variable? The value changes. So I'm going to take the first two terms, 4x and 2y. So we know 4 of the term 4x and 2 of the term 2y, those are what? Those are coefficients of these two terms. So what are these letters? Those are variables. Variables. Right. So now on the whiteboard, I have written some algebraic expressions. Right? Okay. So we will go through each of them. Right? So the first expression, it has two terms. Right? It has two terms. So 3x, it is the first term. 5y, it is the second term. Right? So if we take 3x, right, this entire grouping, it is the term. So if we consider this entire algebraic expression, 3x, it is the first term. Right? So when we think about that term, right, 3, that is the coefficient of what? X. So we will go to the next term, which is what? 5y. 5y. So it is the second term of this algebraic expression, right? So 5 is the coefficient of what? Y. And we know that this algebraic expression is created by doing what? By adding these two terms, 3x and 5y. Right. So now we will go to the second algebraic expression. So in that expression also we have two terms. First term, that is a 3x. Second term, that is 5y. Right? If we take 3x, just as before, the coefficient of 3x will be what? 3. And if we take 5y, the coefficient of y will be what? 5. Now, unlike the first expression, the second expression is created by doing what? Subtracting 5y. That means 5 times y from 3x. Right. So now we will take a look at the third algebraic expression. Right. So at the beginning, when we learn what is meant by a term, what is meant by a coefficient, what is meant by a constant related to algebraic expressions, right? I told you almost all the time algebraic expressions are created by adding or subtracting terms. But sometimes we can observe multiplications and sometimes we can observe divisions. So generally we say when we talk about algebraic expressions are created by adding or subtracting algebraic terms. But sometimes we can observe multiplications and divisions. So 3t, right? We know what is the idea here? We have to multiply t by 3, right? So this entire grouping is what? Is an algebraic expression, right? So what is the coefficient of t? Right? The number in front of it, which is what? 3. Right. So now we take the fourth algebraic expression. So here this entire thing is what? An algebraic expression. So it has only one term. And it is a division also. It is a division. Right? M divided by 2. Right? I can rewrite this expression in this manner. Right? So here half, that is what? The coefficient of what? M. Half is the coefficient of M. So when you learn about mathematics in higher grades, you will learn that when we talk about coefficients, the coefficient can either be a whole number and also it can be what? A fraction. Right? For the moment, right? M divided by 2 is what? This entire thing is an algebraic expression, right? So the coefficient of m is what? Half, right? So now we will consider this algebraic expression. So here we have 4 terms, right? First term, second term, third term, fourth term. So here minus 2, it is what? It is a constant. Minus 2, it is a constant. If we think about 4b, 4, that is the coefficient of b. If we think about 5z, 5, that is the coefficient of z. If we talk about the fourth term, 8c, 8, that is the coefficient of c. So in this expression, right, this expression has been generated or created by doing what? Additions and subtractions, right? So this coefficient, it is subtracted from this expression now, right? So you have to understand, almost all of the time, right, algebraic expressions are generated or created by doing additions and subtractions by algebraic terms. So last of all, we will take m plus 2n. So this entire thing is an algebraic expression, right? So it has 2 terms, first term and the second term. If we consider the term 2n, right, 2 is the coefficient of n. So what is the coefficient of m? When there is no number in front of a letter, we say the coefficient is what? 1. Why is that? If we multiply any number by 1, we get what? The same number. In the same manner, if we multiply any letter by 1, we get the same letter or algebraic term, right? So here in front of m, even though there is no number written, the coefficient is what? 1. So sometimes the students, so they misunderstand in these kinds of a situation, right? So they think that since there is nothing in front of m, the coefficient is what? 0. So that is wrong, right? If the coefficient is 0, right? If we take any number, multiply that number by 0, we get what? 0, no? So here, take m, multiply that by 0, so accordingly we should get 0. But that is not the case, right? So always remember, when there is no number in front of the letter, the coefficient is what? 1. And another thing, so I have written 8 plus 3, right? So this entire thing is what? A numerical expression. In a numerical expression also, these are what? 8 and 3, those are what? Those are terms, right? So 8 will be the first term, 3 will be the second term. So this entire expression is made up of how many terms? 2, right? So when we talk about expressions, you have to understand whether it is numerical expression or algebraic expressions. Most of the time, expressions are made up of either adding or subtracting algebraic terms, right? Right. So from that, we come to the end of the video. So in this video, I have explained what is meant by an equation, what is an expression, how do we differentiate those two, right? Then further, we have taken, right, expressions, right? So when we talk about expressions, there are 2 kinds of expressions, right? Numerical expressions and algebraic expressions. So what is meant by a numerical expression? What is meant by an algebraic expression? So those 2 things we have discussed. Then when we take algebraic expressions, we need to understand what are terms. How do we know? How do we identify them? Then what is meant by a coefficient? What is a variable? What is a constant? So those are the terms or words, meaning of words that we have discussed in this video. Right, thank you.